Hi everybody, my name is Glenn Murray and I work for DAREarts. I am their remote programs manager, and what that means is I work in the far north in indigenous fly-in communities out of Wapiskat First Nations and Webequie First Nations. And what I do up there is I lead teams and we go up into the north and work with students and create art and music projects over the course of a week. So what I'm going to do with you today is called Introduction to Painting. So I'm going to use some common household items, a little bit of paint, and a nice watercolor paper here to create a basic landscape. So I'm going to talk you through it and show you how it goes. Okay, so first, let's just talk about our supplies, okay? So what you're going to need. So I'm going to use a toothbrush. I'm going to do this as if you don't have a paintbrush at home, okay? I have a little Tupperware thing of water and 2 plates, okay? I also have here some friends. This is Geraldine. She's a giraffe from Africa. And this is Ellie, an elephant from Africa. And their friend Zubi, a zebra. And they're going to be here hanging out with us, and once in a while I may ask them for their input on this, you know, because they're very creative and fun-loving. So, we need paper towel. I'm going to take 2 pieces of paper towel and fold them over together, like that. We'll put that here, we won't need that now. Okay? Actually, I'm going to get this out of the picture. It's blocking Zubi. So, we're going to put that here. Okay? Moving that too. So, I'll explain to you how this all works in a second. We're going to set up our station. It's very important when you're painting that you set everything up. Get yourselves a drink because you're going to be working until the paint dries and you can't really leave until it's done. Okay, so that's really important. So you get this at the dollar store. It's just a basic book. It's got a bunch of watercolor papers in there. And it's very reasonably priced. I think I paid like $4 or $5 for this. And the paper is great for doing paint. I've done quite a few of these with this book, and it works out well. So put that out of the way too. Now it's got these perforated edges. I'm going to take those off. So just fold it over like so, and we're going to remove that. Okay, because I want our paper to be clean. There we go. Next step. All right. When you wet paper, it will curl. Okay, so we're going to take tape. Note that I put a black plastic garbage bag down on the counter here to protect the surface. I also I have an old bed sheet that I use, and I use it all the time for painting, and I just keep it. So that's an option too if you don't like the idea of throwing out wasting plastic bags. And I don't really either, I'm just demonstrating this way. So when I do the next video, I will be using the bed sheet that I use all the time. Okay. I'm taping these down onto here, and when the painting is done, I will let it dry and then remove the tape, and it will be groovy and flat. What's that, Geraldine? Yes, we're going to do the colors now. Thank you for asking. She's so smart. Okay, primary colors. Paint comes in a bunch of different colors, right? So I'll show you, I have a kit here that I bought at a store called Winners, and it was half the cost of what it normally would be. So always bargain hunt when it comes to stuff like paint. The dollar store sells bottles of these for like $2 or less, and it's perfectly fine for doing your learning process. So your primary colors, we have yellow. I'm gonna put quite a bit on there, a healthy amount of yellow. I always recap, it keeps the paint nice and fresh. A little tip for you. Red, okay? I'm going to put them in the 3 corners of this plate. When you're done with your project, please wash your plates right away. If you let it sit too long, the paint dries and it's really difficult to clean because it adheres to the surface. So there's a little tip for you. I'm a stickler for keeping my work area clean and for cleaning up with the tools that I use. I will show you some of the brushes that I use later that I purchased at the store, and they're a little bit costly, so I take care of them. But I will tell you, I do have a brush that's lasted 20 years, so it's worth getting quality stuff if you're into this and you enjoy it. Okay, so here's our primary colors. We got yellow, red, and green. We're going to take our toothbrush, okay? Now, here's how I set up. Guys, I'm going to ask you to move forward. Okay. I like to have my water right over top of the paper towel, and I'll show you in a second why, okay? You guys are blocking the view. We're going to put you over here. I know. Don't get upset. Okay, yeah, there we go. Just like that, okay? I have my tubes at the top, and I have my plates for painting on top of the page. So that way I can access the paint quickly to the page, use water to clear my brush, and I have my towel to blot out the brush. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some secondary colors. So we have our primary colors. We're going to do some secondary colors, okay? In the next lesson, we're going to do what's called tertiary colors, which is T-E-R-T-I-A-R-Y, which is taking secondary colors to make even another set of colors, which is fantastic. So first we'll start with our first secondary color. We're going to take some yellow, a little bit of red, because red's very dominant, and we're going to get this plate here. This is our mixing plate, and we're going to mix them together, and you will see miraculously before your eyes the color orange will appear. Miracle. It's a miracle. Now I'm going to use this color right away because I don't want to waste paint. Okay? What we're going to be doing is your basic landscape. Okay? Now because I've taped this down, I'm going to have to sort of flip the page up to show you guys. So I'll figure that out in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the top of the page is going to be the sunset part. Okay? So I'm going to take a little bit of water, blot a bit on my towel, and I'm just going to brush back and forth. Now, don't be afraid when you apply paint to the paper. Just let it flow, okay? Because it's all about learning how paint reacts, okay? And how it moves. So I'm using quite a bit of water on here. And the paint that I got from my initial mixing of those two primary colors, yellow and red, has created a really nice orangey color onto my page. It looks like a sunset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip and clean my brush now. I'm going to take just yellow, okay? Just a little bit of yellow. I dip in here to the water, so it gives it a little bit more flow, more of a watercolor effect. And I just streak the yellow into the orange color. Then I'm going to clean again and go back to fresh yellow, because as soon as you touch that orange, it starts to affect it, okay? So we're just using pretty much pure yellow here, and we're streaking fast onto the page. Here's where you just kind of move your whole arm. Don't be shy, don't be afraid, because this is how you learn with art. You got to be brave with your brush, I always say, okay? All right, so I'm going to blot this out, make sure it's nice and dry, and then we're going to create a color that we can use for the bottom of the picture. So we're going to do what, like water, and then we'll have the sky above, which is our sunset, okay? And now I'm going to lift this up because I want to share with you guys as we go. So let me just remove this tape. What it looks like, so you can have a good idea. And you know, I hope that you're doing this with me, because that's the best way to learn. So I'm going as slow as I can, so that we can all keep up, okay? So this I'm quite excited about. I'm removing the tape. Normally I would leave it on there so that my paper doesn't curl, but I want to be able to show you guys how this works. But when you do it at home, keep it taped down and your page won't curl. It'll dry flat, okay? All right. Now that's cool, right? So this was just done with your basic household, hi there, toothbrush. Pretty awesome. All right. Next step. Okay. We're going to do the water. All right, so I have some blue. Now when you mix blue and red together, who wants to guess what color you get from blue and red? Let's ask some of our friends here. Zuby? Pink? Yeah, no, but good try. It doesn't hurt to try. Geraldine? Turquoise. Yeah, no. But thank you for trying, Geraldine. Don't be upset. Ellie? Purple. That's right. Very good. Purple. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we're going to go red and blue. Okay. I want you to see how it looks, okay? So you still have your two primary colors separated, but we're just going to take it right to the plate. And look how fast you get purple. It's a nice rich color of purple. It's fantastic, right? It's very simple. Now if I was to add yellow to that, we would get a tertiary color where we're using a primary color and a secondary color to create a different color. Now I'm just going to experiment with this because I want to see what this looks like. So add a little bit of yellow. And it did what I hoped it did. It softened the purple a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. And that's going to soften up our purple. Okay? Because it was pretty dark. And I'm using this to accent my water, which you're going to see how I'm going to do in a second. Okay, so I don't want to waste the paint. Remember we talked, so I'm going to drip this in here. Blot it out. Dip, blot. Okay, it's going to be quite wet. Now I'm going to just go really fast onto the bottom of the page. And you're thinking, what's this guy doing? He's painting the water purple. That's crazy. But you're going to see what'll happen. This is where playing with color is super fun. Okay, so that I've done very wet. Okay, so I'll show you in a second. I'm going to switch towels. That one's saturated, so we're going to get another towel. So keep your paper towel roll nearby you, okay? So then you can easily access, get fresh towel, and there's no break in the action. We're going right to it, okay? So it's still showing some purple. My water's also gotten a purple color, so I'm gonna clean it out and start with fresh water and clean my brush. So that's a way, another way you can clean quickly is just run it under the tap, okay? There we go, brand new brush, clean water. Alright, so remember I talked before about how important it is to keep your tools clean as you're working. It's because it affects the look of your painting, okay? Alright, so we're going to add some white, okay? So white and black work to lighten our colors or darken. Now they both have quite an impact. Black more so than white. I'll try and do something with the black in a second so you can see how much of an impact. So we want to have a nice light blue for our water, okay? So I'm going to use mostly white and just pull a little bit of the blue over. You see how I did that? I just pulled a little bit of the blue over, not a lot. So that way, if you start in the white area first, you can really control the color of the blue. So watch, I'll pull more in, see how it starts to darken. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that darker blue to streak the water. Okay, so I have purple in the background. We're now going right in there right away with a nice light blue into the purple. And it's going to create a really interesting effect because the purple is going to show through on the water. And why I did that is because sunlight will affect water that way. It'll make it look kind of cool with a lot of different colors, right? So by adding the purple as a base underneath this nice light baby blue, I've created a really rich looking color for the water. So, you know, that time of night when it's sunset, you will get those kind of looks in the water. So I'm going to bring it forward just so you can take a look. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. Okay? That's really cool so far. I'm really happy about that. Okay, so right on. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of just the pure blue, okay? Just the pure, really dark blue. And I'm going to influence it a little bit with the baby blue, just like this. Okay, I'm going to come closer because I want you to see how this looks. It's really neat. You just go like that. Now look at that color. So that's on my brush right now. I'm going to go right to the page. This is a lot of paint. There's not a lot of water. But I'm just going to go right here and kind of like call it like an artistic kind of dance. You know, you're just going to go like that and play onto your page, right? Yeah. you know, I'm just gonna skitter across like this. Just tap it. Just tap it. Just tap it and see what happens. And it's really cool because it's giving my water texture. I'm gonna do this right across the horizon, and I'll show you later how that looks. It gives it kind of a more realistic look to the water. This is really cool. You know, I hadn't planned on doing this, to be honest, and I'm super, super excited how it's turning out. And I'm getting a little bit of splash up into the sky, which is okay. That's fine, because that kind of adds a little bit of realism to it, you know? It's a neat thing. When I show you this, you guys are going to be pretty blown away, I'm telling you. It's neat. I'm going to go solid blue again and just kind of keep dabbing like this. I think, you know, like, it's kind of looking like it's a choppy water, like with waves. And this is the cool thing about painting, guys, is like, you can have these things happen as you're doing it, and you don't plan for it, and it can turn out really cool. So sometimes we can be really critical on ourselves. We can say, oh no, I've ruined my painting because I tried this thing. What I want you to get into the artist mindset is experimenting and accepting how these things work out and working with it to create your art, because sometimes these are happy accidents. That was almost, like, that looks like waves. It's so cool. I'm really excited about that, actually. Now, remember I said before that we're going to use a little bit of black to influence our colors. So what I want to do is show you how much black can influence the colors that we have, okay? So we have one more color secondary that we didn't yet create. So I have a lot of red there. I'm going to put some yellow right beside it, and we're going to create our next secondary color. And I'm also, guys, going to put some black over here on our mixing plate, okay? And it's a very small amount that I put, just a dab. Let me show you closer. Because black is very influential as a color. So I also have something to do with later, using a butter knife. I'll show you the artistic equivalent of that is a palette knife, they call it, where you can use that to create texture. So we're going to try something with this. I don't know what yet. I'm going to see how this kind of turns out, and maybe it'll inform what I do, which is the cool thing about creating on the fly like this. Okay, so here we go. Another 2 pieces of paper towel. All right. So my brush has been soaking in the water here. It should be clean. I'm still seeing a lot of blue. My water's dirty. I'm going to dump it again and just run it under the tap. And that's got my brush clean right away. So that's working really well. So remember that when you're at home, when you need to clean your brush quickly, just run it under the sink. Bam, we're ready to go. So awesome. This is great. Discovering lots of cool things as I'm doing this with you. And that's the way I always look at like projects like this, is that I learn while you're learning too. I'm certainly not a master of this, but I'm learned that you gotta have a beginner's mind, you know, to keep learning things. Now I actually made a mistake here. What the colors I wanted, I'm sorry guys, was yellow and red. Yellow and blue. Yellow and blue. That's the colors I wanted. So I'm going to put those, the yellow, there's still quite a lot of blue here. I'm going to put the yellow right beside it. That was just creating orange. I want to create a different color. Okay, so we're going to see what color we are going to get with yellow and blue. Now, anybody want to guess what that color would be, yellow and blue? What's that, Zuby? Green, very good, first guess. So smart. Okay, here we go. So we're taking the yellow and the blue, and we're creating a light green, okay? And that's good, that's what I'm looking for. I'll bring a little bit more of that nice baby blue in there they create this really cool kind of oceany green, you know. I don't know if that's an actual real color, ocean green, but that's what I'm calling it. Now, here's what we're gonna do with this. I'm gonna take a little dab of the black, okay? I wanna show you guys how much I used, hardly any, okay? And then mix it in and show you, like, say, look how much black influences the other colors. You have to be very careful how you do it, okay? That's gotten what I'm looking for, though. That's what I'm looking for. So what I want to do, guys, I want to try and create some birds. Now, there's a very simple way to do a bird. It's like a mustache. You just go whoosh, whoosh, okay? And you can do like a really simple silhouette of a bird. So this is going to be a little tricky with the toothbrush. So I think I'm going to come right up to the camera here so you guys can see. And let's see how this works out, okay? So I'm going to hold this up and just be very light with that bird. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that worked out. So you can get some more paint. And again, just be really light. Okay, looks like a bunch of birds. Let me try that again. So this is all paint, guys. I'm not using it, I'm not watering it down. Yeah, I'm gonna play over here. It's hard to do with me holding the paper like that. So I'm just gonna add some birds here, and I'll show you guys how it looks when I'm finished. Okay, so I'm finding that you have to be very careful with the toothbrush because you get a lot of lines. But that's gonna be sort of how it looks. So the one that I did looks like a flock of birds, right? If you want the bird to appear to be farther in the distance, you would make it smaller. Okay, and let's put a really small one right at the top of the page here. Yeah, okay, and then a bigger one in the front. And again, you know, you'd think, well, how am I supposed to paint with a toothbrush? But actually, it works really well. It's pretty cool. You can also make your own brushes too. I'm sure there's a Google thing somewhere on how to make them. But you know, you can pick them up fairly cheap at the dollar store. And that's how I'm going to end the video with you guys. I'm going to use a brush. Okay, we'll let that soak. I'm going to show you the brushes that I have, some of them, okay? I'm just going to bring forward our bird and water scene here, which I think has surprised me in how it's turned out. I'm really happy with it. It looks cool. And it's all about play, you know, having fun. So these brushes I buy at Michael's. I also got this thing here, which is really cool. So the water's in the bottom of it, and while you're working, you can actually have your brushes sitting in the water. And if I'll just pull this out here, I'll show you. There's a screen here that sits in the bottom of this, okay? And you can use that screen to clean your brushes. So these are handy, and this was about $12. All the painting stuff that I have, I just bought this one, but I had one of these, and honestly, it lasted me like 20 years. So I keep everything in a plastic tote and take really good care of my tools, and they last a long time. So it's worth it to me to spend a little extra on a good brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my detail brushes. I'm going to get a little black, a little green, and I'll show you what you can do with the brush in terms of creating some really neat looking birds on this page of it that's already created. So I'll just do a few with the brush so you can see the difference. They're just going to be a little bit more detailed than the toothbrush offered. Okay, so when I'm doing detail work like this, I'll kind of hover my hand above the page and just be light. Okay. And if I want the birds to be bigger, I'll just do bigger swoops like that. And again, don't be afraid. Just put that brush down onto the paper. It's when you hesitate that you usually make mistakes when you're painting, so just go for it. Okay? And the more you do it, the more practice you'll get. You'll tell your mind, I'm going to draw a circle, and then boom, the circle shows up. And it really does actually happen that way the more you do it. So, okay, we're going to bring this forward so you can see the birds that I did with the brush here are more defined, okay? These are the toothbrush ones. but they actually work well together. It's interesting how they work together. I love how the wave turned out, just kind of dabbing with the brush. That was really awesome. Okay guys, so that concludes our intro to painting using household items. So in the next lesson I'm going to do a more advanced painting, and I will use a mixed tray like this, also at the dollar store, not expensive at all. I'll be using my brushes. I also want to show you that I got these brushes here, over here, in a kit at a store called Michael's. Now, they came in this nice canvas carry bag, and this is actually 2 kits together. There's a lot of brushes, but it had all the different sizes of brushes in one kit, and it wasn't expensive. It was around $10, $12, so it was pretty reasonable. And again, I've had this for years. I'm very thorough. When you finish painting, you will wash your brushes in soap and water thoroughly, and they will last forever, like this, okay? So that's something you can do if you're really interested in continuing this, is purchase a better set of brushes for yourself and just keep them in good condition. Okay, so thanks for joining me. I just want you guys, for 30 seconds, I want you to take a minute and just think about yourself and what you did today and how you grew, okay? Our DARE values are about discipline, action, respect, and excellence. And for me, it really comes down to taking chances, that action piece, you know, and respecting what you've done, because we can often criticize ourselves, and having the discipline, which is setting this up and finishing it through, and then you get a level of excellence at the end. I mean, this isn't going to go in a gallery or anything, but I like it, and I enjoyed the whole thing. So enjoy art for what it is, okay? And that's what leadership is sometimes, you know. It's just taking action with yourself first, and then you'll have that confidence to be able to take that leadership value out into the world. And it can start with something like art, learning how to control this environment, and then when you go out into the world, you'll apply the same principles. Set yourself up, be organized, follow through, clean up after, take care of your tools. These are all valuable life skills that we use, and you learn them through art. So thank you again. My name is Glenn Murray. Super happy to be part of the DAREarts team, bringing you this online experience, and I'll see you guys at advanced painting class, which is coming right up. Thank you so much.